That's why I tell you, oh, the price of fuel. Yeah, when that's the price of fuel, NNPC says we've not increased fuel prices. It is arbitrage. It is people taking advantage of each other. Why is Yamodino and Nasiru and Mama Chukudi, why are they increasing the price of basic products in the market? What has Gary got to do with the price of dollar? But we're all taking advantage of each other, and then it becomes it's like a cascading chain. I take advantage of you, you take advantage of me. So, for instance, as a developer, price of materials have like quadrupled in under 6 months. Yes. I increase my price. My subscribers complain. We make noise. I do some escalation for them because I have no choice. And they say, okay, well, I'm not going to pay more than this or this also. And I say yes. I move back to site. Within another 2 months again, I'm back again asking for more money. Then they say, oh, contractual dispute. And we say that the project has failed. Because you have, I'm not saying that we should have price controls, but I'm saying we need to make sure that things are realistic. And as far as I'm personally concerned, if cement people decide that they want to start selling cement at 10,000 a bag, no problem. Then please, government, remove the constraints on people importing cement. Since Nigerian cement is now going to be one of the most profitable in the world, hey, let's all begin to import cement. I don't have to buy Dangote cement. I don't have to buy from Samad. I can bring in my own. So let's all do free for all. Let's all begin to bring it in. You will be surprised that the price will crash because they no longer have the monopoly, which is what they used to thrive. Okay. And when you think about this whole sequence of things, when you look at what does the government control? Fiscal policies. Let government use fiscal constraints and incentives to regulate behavior. So if manufacturers decide that they want to start spiking all their product prices, tax them appropriately and then give people concessions, find ways of being able to pass the concessions and the benefits of the additional taxes to the masses, because the masses are the ones that need the help, not you and I. We are not the masses. You and I are still able to feed. The people who depend on daily subsistence wages to live, and we're choking them. At the way we're going, one day those guys will get up and block the junction there and start taxing all of us. May we not get to that day.
Amen to that. And now let's look at this, which is more crucial. I think that we take a look at this high cost of living that every Nigerian believes that is the removal of fuel subsidy. Do you share in the belief that the whole situation that we find ourselves is directly associated with the removal of fuel subsidy?
The fact I'm laughing already tells you the answer. Look, I'll tell you, I'm not an economist, but as of this is 2024. As of 2 years ago, I've been one of those making noise that Naira was overvalued. I personally believe that that's erroneous, foolish defense of the Naira that the previous CBN administration management went on was ruinous. It ended up destroying rather than creating value. You see, Nigeria can no longer operate in an island. We are part of a global community.
Exactly.
And whether we like it or not, it will impact us. Okay? So, first, removal of oil subsidy was something that we had no choice. It had to happen. We couldn't even afford it anymore. Because what had happened was, under the Jonathan administration, they were giving it free for all, which they were sharing money to everybody, and then the company was going bankrupt. Under Buhari, NNPC was now the one importing. But what did NNPC do? They stopped selling our crude and started doing oil swaps. So Nigeria was not making money anymore as much as we used to. I'm putting it in simple terms. We're not making as much money as we used to make from selling crude. We started doing oil swaps so that everywhere kept wet. We all had petrol. We were happy. But the petrol was not being sold at the right price. So what were we doing? We're taking money from this pocket, putting it inside this pocket, and saying, okay, I'm hungry. Why won't you be hungry? You're not creating value. Okay?
Exactly.
You're being a parasite on your own self. So we ended that. Now, could it have been ended more stylistically? Probably. Should there have been better communication? Definitely. But it was inevitable. The Naira to dollar value, I mean, the CBN government has said it repeatedly. Again, I'm not an economist, but I'm one of that believe that the real value of Naira is probably closer to, now, it's closer to 1,000 than the nonsense 1,006 we're saying. That 1,006 is because everybody now is a dollar trader. Every Tom, Dick and Harry is trying to save in dollars. This is the only country I know that people have $40 billion in domiciliary accounts. You know what that means? People are packing cash in bank accounts in Nigeria that they cannot spend in dollar.
Yes, it's happening in Nigeria.
Yes. Don't find out. We have over, I mean, the government, the CBN has spoken about this thing now. We have over $40 billion in domiciliary accounts doing nothing. Okay? Meanwhile, the entire country's external reserve is $33 billion.
Now, how does this affect the whole cost of living?
Because what then happens is, so because we import a lot of things, and you have basic components being imported. So if I want to import, say for instance, steel billets,
yes,
we're talking about housing, I have to go and buy dollar on the black market. So my demand is real, but the cost of getting it is high. When I get it, I bring it in, I put it, I'm now afraid of what it will cost me the next time. So I double my price, thinking that, okay, but in principle, where you should get to is I can take my Naira card, walk into a shop in Shanghai and spend.
All right.
Because if you think about the Korean won, think about the Chinese renminbi and several other currencies, they are very high exchange value compared to the dollar. But they are big traders because they are producing.
Exactly.
They are producing.
Whereas we were
consuming. We don't want to produce. You don't want to produce. You don't want to produce. You just want to eat. It doesn't work. Now, let me tell you the funny thing that's now beginning to happen. With this, you know, before, CFA used to be a lower value to Naira. Now, CFA, which is what the French West Africa spent, and they used to smuggle things from Nigeria. They used to smuggle things into Nigeria. Yeah?
Into Nigeria.
Yes, now, before now, Nigeria and Nigeria and Benin, our 37 and 38 states, they used to smuggle into Nigeria. Then we were always complaining. That's why Buhari banned, they closed the borders at the point. Now, we're smuggling out of Nigeria.
All right.
You know why we're smuggling out of Nigeria?
And why exactly?
Because Naira is now lower value. So it is cheaper for them to move things out of Nigeria and sell in Cotonou, and sell in Niamey, and sell in Abidjan than it is to sell in Nigeria. But then if we were producing, it would not be a problem.
So you see, one of the solutions now you are putting forward, I mean, is that if so long as we want Nigerian currency to stop free falling, is that we need to start
producing. We need to start producing. We need to become a producing economy. We need to start generating wealth locally. When we start generating wealth locally, we become wealthy as a people. Because not only do we have a large population, 200 million of us, depending on whoever you listen to, bottom line, there are at least 70 million working Nigerians. Okay, that is bigger than most of the countries in Africa. I think the next largest country population in Africa is probably what? Is it Egypt or one of them? And they're not more than that. Okay, so it means you still have 70 million Nigerians that are capable of being producers. Okay, now if those guys are producing, we generate enough that we consume here, and we can now trade out the rest.
Exactly. I believe one of the important things that we should be looking at is the very recent Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope and housing and necessity. What's your overall assessment on that? I mean, do you believe it will make a difference with regards to the housing deficit we're having in Nigeria?
Cold answer, no. Look, we need to stop this whole farce of government trying to do what private sector should be doing. Government's business should not be to build houses. In sane environments, government creates incentives and then opens a segment to the private sector and says, come and invest. I will make it worth your while. Private capital comes into that sector and delivers the goods. This whole madness, and it is madness, it's a peculiarly Nigerian madness, and it is, as far as it's corruption, of trying to say, oh, you're going to build 2,000 houses, you're going to build 3,000 houses. Why must you build those houses? Private sector, look, we've had this same thing has been it has been tried. President Obasanjo did it.
Yes.
It failed. I think the last person that did this thing and it worked was under Shagari Housing Estate. It was the last person that did this whole public housing thing and it worked. Every other government after that has failed, and this is also going to fail because government does not have unlimited resources. So government cannot, should not be engaging in direct construction. What government should be doing is create an enabling environment to make it possible for developers to begin to deploy and build. And let me tell you this. So I have had engagements with foreign investors. I know of at least 3 groups that told me they're ready to bring $100 million into Nigeria for housing. All they asked for was a purchase guarantee. that, okay, if we bring in this money and we deploy this capital, can you guarantee us that it will be sold? Where are those that will buy it? And then once you can guarantee it will be sold, I can get us a letter from government saying that when we're ready to remit our money, they will not stop us. It was impossible to get it.
And why was that?
Why was that? Because everybody wants to corner the deal. And like I told,
including the government.
Yes, now of course everybody's looking out for themselves, not for the system.
All right.
And like I told somebody, I said, look, if I have $100 million today in Nigerian real estate, I can't use it alone. Put Cosgrove, Urban Shelter, Base and Armor, UPDC, LSDP, put everybody deployed in this country together. We will not expend $100 million in a year. And before you think I'm just making it up, family-owned funds raised over $100 billion in capital over 4 years ago. How much of it has been deployed? NMLC is sitting on 100 billion. How many bonds are there under? How many mortgage bonds are there underwritten? We're not creating supply.
Okay, now you identified these kind of programs that have been going on from administration to administration, because before President Bola Tinubu, former President Muhammadu Buhari was
he did his
and I didn't want to do you couldn't do anything. I don't think he was able to achieve anything significant.
I said they wanted to do 3 million naira house, and I was one of those that I asked them that what planet were they planning to do 3 million naira house? Are they going to put infrastructure there, or they go, and it failed.
All right, we're going to look at this factor one after the other when we come back from this short break. I'm going to hold you to that. Our viewers, we're going to take a short break and we'll come back. The conversation continues. Do stay with us.
Thank you, AIHS, for the opportunity of this exhibition. It was a nice experience. I would like to make it again.
Thank you, AIHS. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, AIHS.
Thank you, AIHS.
TV Africa, your first in housing news.
And thank you for staying with us, and for those joining us, this is the Inside the Real Estate program brought to you by Housing TV Africa. We've been on with former director of the Ogun State Property and Investment Corporation, OPIC, Mr. Jide Odusolu. Thank you so much for still being with us. Now, before we went on this break, we are talking about this issue of corruption that has been an obstacle to actualizing such as the project unveiled by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on strength to see that he has bring an end to the housing deficit in Nigeria. Could you shed more light on this corruption issue that's hitting this? Okay,
so let's start from this premise. I used to be the MD of OPIC. But before then, I ran my own development company called Octo5, and I'm still running Octo5 now. And what I can say is, I won't call it strictly corruption, more of waste. Okay, because if you look at what under President Buhari they tried to do with family-owned funds. Family-owned funds was meant to deliver social housing across Nigeria. What then happens? Most state governors basically used it as an opportunity for political advantage. So they put it in locations where people don't want the houses, and then the houses get built, and it's cows and goats and lizards that live in them. It's the same thing that always happens. So President Tinubu says he wants to do houses. He's gone to Karasana, and he's trying to put up 3,000 homes. Have you been to Karasana? Karasana basically doesn't have infrastructure. Okay, so are you telling
it's on the outskirts of the
outskirts? So essentially, the bulk of the people that you want to attract over there are not going to go over there. Now let's just oppose that against what used to happen when it worked. The Jakonde houses, the Shagari houses, the 1004s, the first tax. What did government do? Government went to those areas and put infrastructure and drew in people, and then they built houses. So they created homogeneous communities that could survive.
All right.
So unless you're creating a model that delivers that, it's a failed project from the onset. Now, the corruption bit then becomes job for the boys.
Right.
Somebody gets a contract to do 100 homes. He's happy. He's going to deliver the homes. He doesn't care whether anybody is living in them. But government has tied that money that he cannot get back. Somebody else is going to get contract to deliver steel. Somebody else is going to get contract to do. So people, is basically job for the boys. And while it's okay to want to give job to the boys, give job that creates value. Don't give jobs that don't create value. So if I were to advise the government, rather than government telling me they're trying to do 3,000 homes, I'd say government should create 3,000, not even 3,000, 36 development nodes across Nigeria. Let the Ministry of Housing, that's Honorable Minister Dangiwa, and the Minister for what? Honorable Minister Omai, let them collaborate, let them bring infrastructure to each of those nodes. Now, government can now say, okay, you know what, to draw people in, we're going to catalyze, we're going to give a mandate to Mr. X and Mr. Y, that's the job for the boys part, to do 200 homes here, 150 homes here, 50 homes there. So once they're doing that, we other developers see the value in the place, because now my cost has reduced by 25%. I'm not the one that's doing infrastructure. Marketing has reduced because God is already making us about the area. I don't bring in my capital and I deliver those homes. There are people in the police force that are looking for houses. There are people in the Nigerian military that are looking for houses. The vast bulk of civil servants don't have houses. There is demand. There's real demand for at least 3 million homes in Nigeria today. Why are they not being built?
Exactly.
And when you think about it, you rather than I don't know how many billions, 100 and something billion that they say they put aside for this scheme, rather than put that scheme into direct build, put that scheme into a development finance line and tell developers, okay, we'll give you this the line at single digit interest, okay, or guaranteed at single digit interest. However, you must have a viable project. In your project, you must deliver 25% social housing, which we will take and do whatever we want with, and then you must do the rest at 75% affordable housing. Your homes must not be priced above this price point and that price point. Watch what happens. Now those developers will come in because they have to make money. They would not only deliver the project, they will make sure that they sell the project because they have to pay back the loan.
Exactly.
And when they pay back the loan, government doesn't lose money, which is what is going to happen in this case. Government doesn't waste money, which is what's going to happen in this case. Government creates jobs and creates value in all the 36 developments that will be created. Think about it. Every house that is built can create a minimum of 20 jobs to 40 jobs. Try and imagine the spill-on effect of creating 1 million jobs in the housing sector within the next 1 year. Oh, and by the way, all these projects that they want to do, guess where the tilers are going to come from? Guess where the electricians are going to come from? Guess where the plumbers are going to come from? They're not coming from Nigeria because we don't have the skills. They're going to come from Cotonou. They don't come from Togo.
But for many Nigerians, they will say they are initiating this kind of program so that we can be able to have most of our youth.
Good luck to you finding a tiler in Nigeria that can tile. That can tile very well. Unless you're not planning to tile. Good luck finding electricians that can do for that skill. So think about it. Imagine if, now we bring Ministry of Labor into it. Imagine if a apprenticeship scheme is created. And that apprenticeship scheme then says that as a developer, if you sign on to this scheme, part of what you've obligated to is to create 100, 200 jobs of trained and certified artisans.
Yes.
By the end of that scheme, what you would have done, you would have created employment for over 1 million youths. You would have certified 1 million youths as professionals. When that project is finished, those 1 million youths can go out and begin to create jobs for them. So you are teaching them how to fish. You're not just giving them fish to eat. That's what needs to happen.
I think while you are on this topic, and I believe a lot of Nigerians want to see how you will land on some of the work. But while the time is not on our side, let us take a look at the recent appointment made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because a lot of young Nigerians saying the mortgage system is not working, federal housing authority.
Overall. FHA is supposed to be the land bank of federal government. Almost all their land banks have been encroached. Almost all their lands have either been stolen or hijacked, or you have all sorts of malfeasance going on there. Now, whoever has that job, the first assignment you should have is go and do a land audit. Confirm how many acres of land, acreages do we still have? Where are they located? What is their status? How valuable are those land banks? And there's a lot that needs to be done. Now, a good team has been put there in FHA. Architect EA Talk is also a part of the team. They have a work order for them, and they should focus on it and get it done. To me, it's immaterial that is in-law. Okay, and the man used to be in the House of Reps, if I'm not mistaken. I think was there for a time or two. So he must have something of value to bring to the table, you know. So I believe that somebody like that with political will actually should be able to do the necessary overhaul that FHA requires urgently if what we're talking about, delivering housing, can become a reality. That's FHA. Federal Mortgage Bank, that one is a basket case. Federal Mortgage Bank also needs an overhaul. Now, I think Malam Oshiri, who is now the MD, he's been part of the system. He knows how things work. He should be able to go into that bank and restructure it. Listen, there is no reason we have a Federal Mortgage Bank that controls NHF. NHF is where everybody who wants to get housing cheap is putting money in on a monthly basis. There's no reason why an agency that controls NHF cannot create mortgages. How many mortgages did Federal Mortgage Bank create last year? I mean, they created 5 years ago. It's an indictment of us. So the FMBN needs to be recapitalized, but the first thing that needs to be done, it needs to be overhauled, it needs to be restructured, it needs to be made efficient so that it can raise bonds. Those bonds can be used to fund a lot of these things we're talking about. Okay, I mean, my brother, I think Ken Ogidemi is still at NMLC. He's been sitting down on a lot of money for a while, but under his the law setting him up, he can't give money directly to the market. He has to only buy back mortgages. So there's a lot of synergy, opportunity for synergy between NMLC and FMBN that the government needs to work on and make work. And I believe that the Honorable Minister for Housing, being one of us, member of HTAG,
I mean, it's very important for us to understand. You've been sharing a lot of light when they're
all in the same network. The Housing Development Advocacy Group of Nigeria is one of us. I mean, these guys are all part of us, and they know that someone like me, I'm always eating them with these facts. I mean, there's so many things that need to be done, but the first thing that also needs to happen, and President Tinubu has a unique advantage. He was a governor in Lagos. He knows how we do it in Lagos. I mean, the popular saying used to be that land was the oil of Lagos. Lagos was not the one building the houses. We developers were the ones building it now. But Lagos was making plenty of money off of us. There's no reason why the same man that did that well in Lagos is now coming to Abuja and says he wants to do 3,000. How many houses does he say he wants to start building?
And why do you think he decided to follow a different path when he knows what happened back then in Lagos?
Maybe I'm wrong, and I will apologize if I am, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a job for the boys. It's just a job for the boys' scheme, and it should die. They should perish the thoughts. They should overhaul it. There's no reason why we have a minister like Mr. Wale Edu, who is a fantastic gentleman, and he's sitting down and he's hearing that they're going to burn 150 billion naira doing homes that are likely not going to see the light of the day at the end of the day, and he's championing it. If he's behind it or not, I don't know who's behind it. I don't know, but clearly he's sitting down there and he's hearing them. What they should do is they should be creating bonds, and like you're saying it, there is serious money that wants to come into this sector.
Exactly.
There is serious money that wants to come into this sector. There is no amount of money that the federal government wants to spend that the private sector cannot outspend it. But the system itself is dysfunctional. The structures are non-existent. Exit is not clarified, and so serious capital is not going to come.
So if government, suffice to say, if government will focus their attentions in real estate development by providing an enabling environment, even our issue of insecurity
will disappear. Listen, if I go to let's pick one of the states that's currently plagued. Is it Niger? You have Niger State, you have Nasarawa State, you have Katsina. These are all challenge states. Imagine if there's a bond scheme that says, as a developer, if I go to Katsina and create a farm plantation, I'm just giving showing things out there that value at 10 billion, I can raise single-digit interest and put that development in there, and I can go in there and create that thing. All the people that are looking to export things from it, they will come to that place. And they will set up. It's not rocket science.
All right.
It's been done in other locations.
I believe for the past 45 minutes we've been deliberating on all of these public systemic issues. Now let's use the remaining minutes. What solutions? What are the way forward?
I think there's Nigeria. The upside is really much. I will end where I started. We need to become a producing economy. We need to create jobs. We need to create a system that makes it possible to build up skills. Now, all of that means that the Ministry of Labor and Employment, the Ministry of Housing, the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Finance have to
mortgage and all
work together to create that enabling environment, and then bring in the private sector. You see, because it's only Nigeria is one of the few top 40 economies I know that does not look at the housing sector as a barometer of the health of its economy. In every other country, they talk about what the housing sector is doing, how it's doing, mortgages. We don't even do mortgages in this country. So there's a lot of room. The way I look at Nigeria and look at housing in Nigeria is the same way banking was in the 80s and the same way telecommunications was in the 90s. There's a huge opportunity, there's huge room for growth, and I'm praying that this particular administration, which has a forward-looking persona, would be able to grasp it and not go back and be making the mistakes of the past.
All right. Former managing Mr. Jide Oduso.
I'm the MD of Occupy Holdings Limited.
We mentioned that. I think it's very important.
Yes.
We'll identify that. No problem. All right, Mr. Jide Odusolu is the former managing director of the Ogun State Property and Investment Corporation, OPIC. He is also the founder CEO of Octa5 Real Estate, one of the leading and innovative real estate in Nigeria. I mean, he likes to, for us to identify that. He's also an esteemed member of Housing Advocacy Network, HZAT. Mr. Jide, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
My pleasure.
Yes, and we're glad to have you join us again.
Thank you.
All right. Let's be real. We're going to round off now, and I believe you enjoyed the conversation because it's been very engaging and been brainstorming on all of these issues that we have been bedeviling with. Join us on another episode where I'll bring you on another interesting topic of enlightenment. My name is Abdurrahman Omar, saying goodbye for now.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
Hello and welcome. Here is the news update on Housing TV Africa, I am Ben Dodo Oche. A quick look at the headlines. Shehu Usman Osidi resumes officially as Managing Director of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Lagos government to crack down on exorbitant house rent. CBN raises customs duty exchange rate to 1,493 naira 23 kobo despite previous slash. Now the news in detail. The newly appointed Managing Director of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, Shehu Usman Osidi, has resumed officially as the new Managing Director of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. The handover ceremony took place at the FMBN headquarters in Abuja, marking a pivotal movement for the institution. Maimuna Bagudu has more details.
The newly appointed Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Shehu Usman Osidi, has resumed officially as the new Managing Director of the bank.
As someone who has once been an insider with many of my former colleagues here, I understand the importance of teamwork and cooperation in achieving our organizational goals. Now more than ever, as we navigate the complexities of our industry and strive to meet the evolving needs of our stakeholders, it is imperative that we stand together as a cohesive team. I am committed to running an open, transparent, and accountable administration in an atmosphere where teamwork, innovation, professionalism, excellence, and staff well-being shall thrive.
Accompanying Osidi in steering the FMBN to new heights are three executive directors. Ibidapo Odojokan assumes the position of Executive Director responsible for finance and corporate services. Mohammed Sani Abdu steps into the role of Executive Director overseeing loans and mortgage services. Chinyere Anosike takes charge as the Executive Director of Business Development and Portfolios. The outgoing Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of FMBN, Mr. Madu Haman, gave his utmost assurance to assist the newly appointed Managing Director and CEO of the bank in moving the institution to a more greater height.
Under the new leadership, I have the belief that together we will continue to adapt, innovate, and thrive in the face of the new challenges and opportunities that the current realities present. I urge all of you to remain steadfast and to extend the same level of cooperation and commitment to the ideals of FMBN as you have extended to my team and I.
Maimuna Bagudu reporting for Housing TV Africa.
In a recent development, the Lagos state government has issued a stern warning to homeowners who inflate rental fees. The Lagos State Commissioner for Housing, Moruf Akinderu Fatai, emphasized the government's commitment to penalizing those engaged in exploitative rental practices. The government aims to provide affordable housing for Lagosians and will revoke allocations from those found culpable. The Central Bank of Nigeria has made a surprising move in adjusting the exchange rate for custom duties at the nation's seaports, just a day after reducing the rate, increasing it by 1.4%. According to the official trade portal of the Nigeria Customs Service, duty rate has been adjusted from 1,472 naira 756 kobo per dollar to 1,493 naira per dollar, which has been effective since February 17, 2024. This marks a 1.4% increment in the customs duty rates, with an increase of 20 naira 474 kobo compared to the previous exchange rate. We will go on a quick break to return with more stories. Stay with us.
Thank you AIHS for the opportunity of this exhibition. It was a nice experience. I would like to make it again.
Thank you AIHS. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, AIHS.
Thank you, AIHS.
Welcome back. And now to other developments. A community in Lagos can finally celebrate the end of a 35-year legal battle over ownership of a vast expanse of land spanning 11.370 hectares in Igbo Eshinshin, Ologunebi village, Alimosho area of Lagos State. On Friday, amidst the presence of sheriffs and court bailiffs, the rightful owner took possession of the land, marking the conclusion of a lengthy legal saga. This decision came after the Supreme Court dismissed a notice of appeal filed by Oba Sule Odo-Alabe, representing himself and the Odo-Alabe and Ajasa family. The resolution brings closure to decades of uncertainty and paves the way for the community to move forward with newfound clarity regarding land ownership. On the foreign scene, Kenyan President William Ruto has implored members of the parliament to hasten the passage of the Affordable Housing Bill 2023 so that he can sign it into law, promising that it will help create employment. Speaking during his visit to Nyeri County on Friday, President Ruto said the proposed law should not face any hurdles as it will help thousands of youths get jobs in the housing project. That brings us to the end of the news update. Before we go, a quick recap of the major stories. Shehu Usman Osidi has resumed officially as the new Managing Director of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. We also told you that the Lagos State government has issued a stern warning to homeowners who inflate rental fees. For more news in the housing sector, do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Housing TV Africa. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at Housing TV Africa. I am Ben Dodo Oche. Thanks for watching.
TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
Hello, we are right here at Abuja 30 Village, popularly known as 1000 Units. We are here to really see how the people here are surviving. We believe, when you're coming in, you will not even know that people are living here, but we're about to listen to them to know what they are going through, how they're able to survive in a place like this. Join me as we enjoy this journey.
Taking a tour of Abuja, little will you know that there's a place called Abuja 30 Village, a small resettlement properly documented under Amak local government area. Was initiated by former FCT Minister Nasir El-Rufai in 2006. Today we delve into the stories of those residents, exploring both the positives and the challenges they face. We spoke with Mrs. Juliana, a tailor deeply affected by the prevalent issues in the community.
I've stayed in this community, Peggy community, Abuja 30 for the past close to 10 years, since 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So the insecurity here, seriously, we need government to do something about it, because I can't go out to Kuje town and come back around 7 without fear. So everything is not going nowhere, and you can see our road is very bad. The development, like I'm a fashion designer, and you can see the way my shop is, and because of the structure of the shop, people don't come to patronize. They feel a shop like this don't have good things in it, and because I sew, they look down on me simply because of the structure of the shop. So we need government to do something about it. We can't just go out to Kuje, and I can't go to Kuje and get shop. If I'm coming back, the insecurity, it won't be safe for me. So our children are in school and we are living in fear. So once our children go to school, which time will they close because of all this insecurity, all this kind? The vigilantes are here, but quite okay. Many things are happening. There are things happening that they are hiding it. So we just need government to do something about it for us. We do have, but things are happening and they won't say. Things are really happening, but they won't speak out. They always cover it up. We are living in fear, honestly. We are living in fear.
Community Association Chairman Mr. Taiwo Aderiwe shares his historical background of Abuja Teti village and sheds light on the challenges faced by the community.
Peggy Estate Community Development Association is registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission in the year 2012 by my predecessors, the elders of the community. The resettlement is a creation of the Federal Capital Administration under the tenure of His Excellency Malam Ahmed Nasir El-Rufai, when the inhabitants of Idugwagwa Karimu, and later Piwe and Apo, were resettled to this community. By the way, the growing population of the community is between 17 to 18,000. The demography of the community is more of the youthful population, between the ages of 14 and 49. However, the community have been living on its own, a country of its own, a state of its own, a local government of its own. When you see the power lines around here before NEPA and PHCN was liquidated and privatized to what we have as the distribution company, transmission company and distribution companies now, the residents took it upon themselves to grade roads to their plots when the Department of Development Control under AMMC of the Federal Capital Territory failed in their responsibility. Skeletal services were being operated here. Residents took it upon themselves when we had just one regional office and area office in Gwagwalada to travel down to Gwagwalada, apply for power to be stepped down and network to each street and so. By the way, the community is divided into 6 zones, starting from zone A, sub-zone B, we are in C, which is the central, E and D, and Abuja at 30 quarters. Abuja at 30 was conceived then under Malam Nasir El-Rufai in the year 2006 to commemorate the anniversary of Abuja in the year 2006, which was established in year 1976 at 30, and we have the Abuja at 30 village, which you must have you took note of on your right. That is the housing unit, which is numbering about 479 in room and parlor, as well as 2-bedroom blocks of flats. But it's unfortunate that the 1,000 units is yet to be completed about almost 20 years down the line. It is a lack of continuity that caused the setback of that project. Abuja Investment Company, an agency under the Federal Capital Territory, is responsible for the development of the markets and the completion of that project. Peggy community, it's strategically located. We are the heartbeat. Kuje, by the way, when you check through your Google map, Kuje is the center of the FCT, the largest in landmass, neighboring the 5 other area councils and estates as well. Nasarawa to the south of it. It is unfortunate that Peggy, being the heartbeat, it's like an island, has suffered so much neglect from successive governments after Malam Nasir El-Rufai.
Beyond the voices of the residents, we inquired about the state of healthcare in the community.
The healthcare system, there is a health center somewhere down there under the General Hospital in Kuje town. So the healthcare system, the healthcare center functions, normally only that. The community also tries to augment the government effort by engaging in some community projects to develop the health center. But there's a health center catering for the immediate health issues in this area.
Mr. Adamu Emmanuel shares insights into the responsiveness of the local healthcare facility.
Yes, it's effective. There are other private healthcare centers, hospitals, clinics, pharmaceutical outfits that are private, but the government operated health center is the one I'm talking about.
However, the roads seem to pose a significant challenge, as witnessed by this man repairing his tricycle due to damage caused by the unmotorable roads. Mrs. Aminat, a regular viewer of our weekly housing development program, provides further insights into this situation.
Okay, the situation of this place, the challenging we are having here is this road. This road is very badly, in fact, even the rainy season time, nobody can pass through this side. Even car is finding it difficult to pass, because if we even go to Kuje, example, we go to Kuje, so before we can go to Kuje, in fact, the transport is too high because of this our road. Then coming back, we didn't find it easy at all. So please, government should look into it for us. We are finding it difficult very well, because even water, this is only community water we have here, no any other one. The one we have before down there, it has spoiled, nobody came to do it, so it's only this one, and it's all this community. We normally pay money so that it will not go, it will not spoil. So please, we need water, we need road. We need road. The road is too bad for us.
Mrs. Amina told us more about the community's improper waste management system.
Honestly, you see those bins, because no any place we can throw waste bin, and the inside there, people, people, they will not go to the inside and drop waste bin. They they will just drop it around the road. So it's not hygienic, but no, you cannot talk to many people just like that. They will just come. Some people will be on the car and throw it on the road. That is it.
Thank you.
Another resident, Mrs. Joy, echoes the sentiments of many, expressing concerns about basic communities not functioning as they should.
The major issue we are having here, number one, is insecurity. So almost all the time, all these herdsmen, because you can see we are being surrounded by hills. So they are now taking the advantage of the hills, to adopt people. At times, if you say, let us be coming in time, because of at times they will be on the road, they will now be coming house to house, which is unbearable. So there's one family like that. They adopted their ladies, their girls. So and they now discover that the ransom amount they say they should pay, that they don't have it, and they are now going house to house to pick money. So by the time they discovered it, that they are begging, they say, okay, you people are begging, you don't even have the money, which means, I don't know whether they thought that we that are located here almost how many years now by Erufai, our house has been demolished for the past, let's say, roughly 18 to 20 years now, and no enough infrastructure, no good road, because even the road, they are taking advantage of the road to attack us. So we are calling to the government to come to our aid and help us.
Infrastructural deficit is what I have on here. Yes, we appreciate the government to have modeled this layout for residents to have a better living, away from the slum kind of living. We appreciate that as residents and as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but it's unfortunate that there is no commitment from successive administration, and there are so many ungoverned space. When you look at the topography of these people, are surrounded by hills and rocks. These are the ungoverned space that criminality strive more. Let me also apprise you with information that the only naval barracks, I'm not talking of officers' quarters, naval barracks is located here in Peggy, which has also given prospective estate developers that sense of belongingness and safety to come invest here. When you have a military institution, an Abuja at 30, as well as other proposed institution of government to make life easy and meaningful for the dwellers. But it's a departure from the positives. We in Peggy took it upon ourselves to grade our roads, to drill our borehole, we provide water for ourselves, we pay for the electric poles and the recurring wires, and pay for the services also. And we've been living quietly, communally, until managing pockets of burglary, which usually happens when residents go to their place of worship, which is also always on a Sunday. But in the year 2018, the surge of criminality and other felons begin to knock at our gates. There are two exits, by the way, we are making use of into the community through the bush paths. We call that a dreaded bush path to zone A and B, and the one through Abuja at 30 is the 1,000 unit road, which was awarded in the year 2011 with a 9-month completion period. That's the last span, but that has spent over a decade, almost 20 years. The project is yet to hit a kilometer. I say this with all sense of responsibility and dignity as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In year 2018, by the bushcrats, precisely on the 4th and 5th of December 2018, the kidnappers struck. 9 persons were kidnapped. 1 was abandoned to die, suffered a very, very, very serious gunshot injury, Mr. Moshood Atonda. Ransom was demanded and paid to secure the release of those 9 persons. It became a wake-up call. In October 7, 2019, there was another kidnap incident where a civil defense senior officer suffered gunshot injury but died from the complication of that gunshot injury. A week after, some persons were kidnapped. Ransom was paid as well. The number this time is sketchy. We had to repose the confidence in residents to speak up when we realized that about 6 persons were kidnapped. 1 managed to escape, 5 paid ransom. Ransom ranged between the sum of 100,000 to millions of naira to secure their release.
Prevalent security issues limit the progress of a community like this, but addressing these security issues is crucial for fostering a resilient and trustworthy community.
We staged a protest on the 9th of October, which was the first of its kind in the FCT, a peaceful protest. When Malam Bello Musa Mohammed was the Honorable Minister, and Ramatu Tijani Aliu was the Honorable Minister of State. It was streamed live by pressmen and became the talk of the town. Leaders of the protests were invited. We turned it down. What are prayers? Construct the road, complete the road you've abandoned for over a decade, then in 2019. We are not asking for too much as citizens, because we cannot afford Maitama, Life Camp, and all the where you refer to as the city centers. Civil servants who have served this country for onward of 20 to 35 years, retired directors and permanent secretary are residents here who have given their youthful age and productivity to this community, are here languishing in penury and underdevelopment. Is this how we give back to our heroes? It's quite unfortunate. After the protest, the Minister of State paid a visit on the 14th of October and made the political statements that the road would continue. Yes, this renew the hope for better days ahead then, but it turned into worst situations, because the contractor not only returns to site but managed to complete just 1 kilometer you drive through when coming.
To salvage their security issues at night, we inquired about street light, and this is what she had to say.
It does street lights just like that. One day they just came and put either it's like 6 poles and it's solar, and none of them is working now. At the time they mounted it, it was working, but none of them is working now. Even the road, there was a time they graded the road, nothing. So that's just the major problem we are facing. So another one is our crops. When you farm, they will just come and, Fulanis will just come and scatter it. By the time you talk, they will just mess that person up. It's a lot. Can you imagine a lady like that was coming back from lesson because of the phone they are dragging from that girl, They have to cut off that girl's arm in order to collect the phone. So we are just begging. They then locate us.
We made a stop at the school in the community. Although the school had told us that a lot of structures are already being developed by the government, which connotes a sign of hope.
The developments ongoing in this particular resettlement known as Peggy Resettlement, but ceremonially known as Abuja 30 Village. See, this place has been in existence since 2006 under the administration of the former FCT minister, His Excellency Nasir El-Rufai. And you can see all that has been going on in this place. But there's still something. We still have bad roads here. We still have some structures that are abandoned due to insecurity. We are calling on the government to please come to our rescue, to come to the rescue of the people in this residence and see what they could come up for them. Some people don't have light, some have water, some don't have water. We believe that the government could come to their rescue. Reporting from Abuja 30 Village, Brown Mike Ebo for Housing TV Africa.
TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
Welcome to House and Health on Housing TV Africa, where we explore the crucial link between our living spaces and well-being. I am Cassandra Yenumbe. Today, we will talk about the safety of our homes, fire safety, and emergency preparedness. We will be back in a moment.
Thank you AIHS for the opportunity of this exhibition. It was a nice experience. I would like to make it again.
Thank you AIHS. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone. Thank you AIHS.
Thank you AIHS. Back. You're watching Housing Health on Housing TV Africa. In 2022, Nigeria recorded over 2,056 cases of fire incidents with a loss of over 1 trillion naira of properties. According to the Federal Fire Service, property valued at more than 23.3 billion naira was lost to fire outbreak in the country between October and December 2022. Now, health isn't just about physical fitness. It encompasses the safety and security of our living spaces as well. Fire can pose serious threats to our health, from smoke inhalation to the stress and anxiety associated with emergencies. By embracing fire safety practices, we're not just protecting our homes, we're also protecting our health and that of our loved ones. Fire safety is directly connected to health, as it plays a crucial role in preventing injuries, protecting lives, and minimizing health risks. In the event of a fire, the immediate consequences include potential injuries or fatalities due to burns, smoke inhalation, or other fire-related hazards. Additionally, exposure to toxic smoke and gases during a fire outbreak can have long-term impact on our health. We will talk more about basic fire prevention measures and the need to figure out what to do if we ever need to leave our homes quickly and safely due to fire outbreak. We had a chat on fire safety with the National Public Relations Officer of the Federal Fire Service, ACF, Paul O. Abraham. Stay with us. Welcome back to House in Health. We are discussing fire safety and emergency preparedness in our spaces. Fire safety is a set of practices and measures designed to prevent and mitigate risk associated with fire. Kindly stay with us as we bring you expert interview.
Okay, well, fire safety is simply put, it's all the measures you take to prevent fire from happening, or uncontrolled fire from happening in your homes. You know, and why is it important? No technology has been discovered yet to recover any item that has been consumed with fire. So when you have uncontrolled fire in your home and it consumes your property or life or assets, there's no way to recover them. So that's why it's very important to have fire safety measures in our homes. From our data repository center, the data repository center is a technology deployed in the service to gather data on fire incidents across the country. So at our disposal at the Data Repository Center, we can say that 80% of cause of residential fire is majorly out of negligence, stemming from unattended cooking, electrical appliances not being put out when not in use, gas cylinders not properly placed where they ought to be placed, and illegal connections, you know, electric fire, amongst others. Well, if you again recall that 80% of residential fire is out of negligence, so it starts with good housekeeping. Okay, you keep things in appropriate places. Doing that can go a long way in preventing resident or domestic fire incidents in the home. So if you don't tap electricity illegally, or you use the right connections, or you use the right quality of wires. You do not leave children unattended to in the kitchen. You know, your gas cylinder is not left under the sun when it should be covered. You know, so those simple housekeeping, you understand. You don't have your let's say your stabilizer or refrigerator very neck close to the mattress or under the hanger where you have your clothing. For students, you don't live in the same room where you cook with your top burners and all of that. You will have taken serious steps, you know, in ensuring that you don't have domestic or residential fires. Yes, when you talk about equipment or gadgets that people can put in the homes to safeguard them from residential fire, we're not going into first aid firefighting equipments. First aid, like the name implies, is the first things that can help, you know, prevent fire or mitigate fire, as the case may be. So you should be looking at extinguishers, smoke detectors, fire alarm system, dredgers, sprinklers, you know, fireballs, fire blankets, you know, as the case may be. These are gadgets that, okay, let's take, for example, the simple smoke detectors with the battery use type. If somebody is sleeping and maybe out of negligence again, you didn't put out appliances that should be put out, and then a fire results, there's a level of smoke or temperature that goes on. But because the person is asleep, he or she may not be able to know that that kind of incident is happening. But the smoke detector, when it picks an average temperature or smoke, it's activated. And once that smoke detector is activated, it will wake you up. You get what I'm saying? So that way you have prevented or mitigated fire incident, okay? And if anything should go wrong, you have your handy fire extinguishers, so you can actually, you know, help put out the fire because it's still at the incipient stage, you know. So those are some of the gadgets. The fireballs, you just pick them up. It's actually ball in shape, and then you drop it into the fire, you know. So those are some of the few gadgets or equipment that we refer to as the first aid firefighting gadgets, you know, and they go a long way to prevent and mitigate fire. Okay, well, importance and significance of fire extinguisher. Like I said earlier, fire extinguisher is one of the first aid firefighting equipments. Okay, it's there to mitigate, prevent, and where they need be, mitigate extent of loss or damage when fire results. So it's a very, very important gadget or safety equipment we should have in our homes. But like you said, some people don't understand the significance or even the management or the use of the fire extinguisher. So let's start with the management. The fire extinguishers, the major ones we have, are supposed to be serviceable. And so conventionally, and in line with international best practices, they should be serviced bi-yearly, which means they should be serviced twice in a year. Okay, so every 6 months, our extinguishers should be serviced. They should be placed in very conspicuous places in the homes. It's not something you put under the bed or put in the wardrobe or put under the box. No, they should be hung, you know, conspicuously. The reason is so that if anything happens, either the home user or first aid workers or fire officers, when they come, they can actually have, you know, access to it. Okay, and so it goes a long way to help mitigate fire when it results, especially at the incipient. And then to the usage, you know, the fire extinguisher, you know, for us professional, the usage is tied around an acronym which we call PASS. You know, pull the pin, aim at the fire, squeeze the nozzle, and then sweep at the base of the fire. Okay, you pick up your fire extinguisher, you have pass at the back of your mind, which is PASS. The P is, you pull the pin. There's actually a safety pin, that runs in between the extinguisher. So you pull it, you carry it, and then you aim. When fire results, there's actually the point where fire started from. We call it the seat of fire. Other people might say the base, but that's where the fire started from. That's the beginning. Okay, so that seat of fire, you take your extinguisher. When you pull out the pin, you aim at that seat of fire, and then you squeeze your nozzle. Up there is your nozzle, that double handle that you can put in between your hand. That's the nozzle. So you squeeze it, and now as you're squeezing it, you're not squeezing it into the air or squeezing it on the flame. You aim for the seat where the fire started from, or where it's starting from, and then you sweep left and right. And the essence of this is you're able to put the fire completely out of control. Now, it's a stitch in time, says 9 they say. So that little instrument can actually save a whole house from going up in flames, and so we cannot overemphasize the significance of having first aid firefighting gadgets in our homes, particularly the extinguishers. Okay, well, for those living in the rural areas who may not have access or afford these gadgets, firstly, the gadgets are not so expensive, but if we must speak to your question, first, like I said in the course of this our conversation, is simple housekeeping. Keep things in the appropriate places. Decongest the room or the space of items that may result into fire. Okay, for students, we'll continually encourage them not to cook in their room, the same space where they sleep, where you have your mattress, where you have your wardrobe or your clothing or your bags and shoes. If you cook in that kind of space, you're already setting up your own space on fire. Other things so when you do that simple housekeeping, you help reduce the possibility of fire outbreak. Again, your environment. So if you talk about rural areas, then you must keep your environment clean, such that the areas maybe where the bush or the grasses are growing and drying up should not be very close to the house, to avoid for bush burning incidents and all of that, so that when fire starts in the bush, it doesn't easily just creep, into the house. But beyond that, if you have fresh leaves, you have brooms, you have water in your drums, those kind of things can help, in the heat of fire outbreak challenges. Some people use sand. You can get buckets, and I still see them even in filling stations in the city. They have a bucket that is filled with sand. The idea is that they can pour it, over fire to put it out, because the essence is just to cut the fire triangle. Once you can cut oxygen off heat, and fuel, you will, to a large extent, put down the fire. But for preventive purposes, I think that we should harp and emphasize on basic housekeeping. Okay, families, part of our recommendation, and that's what we do at the Federal Fire Service, especially under the leadership of the present Controller General, Engineer Jaji Olola Abdulganiyu, whose mantra is that fire prevention is cheaper, it's easier, and it's safer than firefighting. Okay, instead of deploying all those enormous resources in fighting fire, let us prevent fire. So we have several programs. One of them is the Catch Them Young program, in partnership with schools across the country, where our officers go there and educate school children, primary, secondary, even university. We're in partnership with the NYSC and all that. We do all of that just to educate people on, how to prevent fire. And then part of the advocacy program we do, we go to public spaces, we go to markets, we talk with religious leaders, market women, and various associations. As to families, it's very simple. If you have a fire station down your street or in your city, just put your kids in your car and drive them to the nearest fire station. We have officers there who will, again, give them talks on how measures or what to do when fire results or what to do so that fire will not result. So here at the headquarters and across all the commands of the Federal Fire Service, we have families bringing their children, we have neighborhood coming with kids, you know, to get those sensitization, you know, and bringing them up to speed, you know, in what we're doing. So my first recommendation would be that parents should expose themselves to fire safety literatures, and in turn, educate their children. And where you feel you don't have the time, just bring them to us. Within 30, 40 minutes, our men are on ground to talk the children through the process. If you're alone and you're a child and fire starts, run out of that building as quickly as you can and call the attention of adults. You know, we will not encourage children to try any macho thing. It's very dangerous considering their level of understanding and orientation. So if you're a child and fire results, just run out of the building and get the attention of adults, you know, as quickly as possible. Yes. Most common is it will not happen to us. It will not happen to us, God forbid, you know, and all of that. Fire service is not functional. You know, fire service will never come. Fire service will come without water. Those are the simple most conception that we come across. But we have been working assiduously to debrief them. You know, nobody knows when fire is going to come. So prepare, keep your house clean, have your first aid fire equipment ready, because you don't know when it will happen. But most importantly, we should not be negligent. Don't cook, don't put food on fire unattended to. Appliances that are not in use, put them off. You know, and if you must connect to electricity, make sure that you get qualified persons to do the connections. Don't go tapping and moving wires around the house. How can they become more informed? Well, they can follow us on Facebook. We're there. We're on Twitter. Just Federal Fire Service, you know, on Facebook. And you will see some of our fire safety tips on Twitter, on Instagram. We're there, you know. And of course, I'm a great reader, so I will encourage them to always read. Do up a research, one or two things, and then you come up with what we're working on. Presently, for example, we're working on the machine-to-machine communication. Okay, the machine-to-machine communication is what the Controller General is particularly passionate about at this time. And what is machine-to-machine communication? We've set up platforms across the country where, from your smoke detectors and fire alarm, we can actually get a buzz. You know, whether you're at home or you're not at home, it's actually for smart cities, smart homes, and all that. Yes. So the AI, which is the artificial intelligence, has capacity to activate, you know, the call on your behalf when the temperature or the smoke gets to a particular level. This, the Federal Fire Service is doing in partnership with Holisys, and trainings are all going to bring our men up to speed. And so very soon we'll be deploying across the country. We have a toll-free number, which is 112, which is a national emergency number. Okay, so it's not domiciled with the Federal Fire Service. What that means is that if you call that number, normally when they pick it, they will have to reroute you in case it's fire to the fire service, to the Federal Fire Service or the State Fire Service, as the case may be. But because we also understand the gap in that communication, people are not patient to wait to be rerouted, sometimes network and all that. We have what we call a control room number, but this is not toll-free. It's a regular number, mobile number, but what that does is that it gives you direct access to us. You don't need to be rerouted, you know, to get to us. And if you call this number from across the country, we're able to turn out the nearest fire station to you, where the fire is happening. And so that's our control room number. That's actually 080-3200-3557. I'll take it one more time. 080-3200-3557. So that's, for us, our national control room number. Once you call that number, no matter what part of the country you are, we're able to turn out the nearest fire station to that incident, and our men will be there. Well, I'm not a I'm not a medical doctor. I'm sure that's what you mean. Neither am I a nurse. But part of our mandates, okay, it's paramedic services. So we are one of the agencies of government in Nigeria that has, as part of our mandate, ambulance services. So every time we turn out for fire, we're going along with an ambulance, because sometimes people get burned, people get hurt, maybe trying to escape from fire. Even fire officers get injured in attempt to, and all of that. So fire, there's a level of heat that comes on humans that is unhealthy. So people can get burned, and all of that. First degree injuries and all of that. But ultimately, even in attempt to put out fire or attempt to run away from fire, people get injured. But if you do your housekeeping and everything is in order, you may not get into that emergency situation that becomes a health issue. Well, in general, I will say that the Federal Fire Service, under the leadership of Engineer Jaji Olola Abdulganiyu, is doing a lot. We want to encourage Nigerians to support us and desist from attacking firefighters. And then when fire happens, don't do videos or take selfies. Please call the Federal Fire Service, and I'm sure we'll be there.
There you have it. A well-prepared fire strategy contributes to public health by safeguarding individuals from the immediate health impacts of fire outbreaks. As we wrap up, remember that the steps we take can profoundly impact our health. It is a collective responsibility to ensure the safety of our homes and spaces in general. Remember, knowledge and action are our strongest tools in creating safe homes. Join us again on Housing Health. Keep watching Housing TV Africa on channel 149 on Star Times. I am Cassandra Yunumbe. Bye for now.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.